Okay, the seatbelt's working. So you're probably wondering what happened in my quest to get Bluetooth in this car. Well, for now it failed. I went to a car audio shop to see if they could install the Bluetooth radio kit. They told me they weren't going to do it because this is a Volvo car, and apparently if you don't do it right, you run the risk of the airbag light coming off. Oh, that's the volume button, not the air conditioning button. So I still don't have Bluetooth in this car, and they told me the only way to get Bluetooth in this car is to swap out the radio, which is going to cost $600. I mean, seriously, I've never had a car where it would cost $600 to get Bluetooth in it. When I had a Nissan Altima, it only cost me the price of the radio plus $12 to buy a wiring adapter that would plug into the car and the radio. This car, they had to make it more difficult, I guess. So here's a funny story from when I was a truck driver. It was my first time driving in the state of Minnesota. The only thing I knew about Minnesota at the time was that they have a very beautiful lighthouse in the Lake Superior coastline called Split Rock. Anyway, I'm driving in Minnesota, and the first thing I noticed is every time someone uses their turn signal, they always use the wrong one. And I was like, can't these people tell the difference between left and right? Like, they were using their left turn signal to go into the right lane, the right turn signal to go into the left lane. They use the right turn signal to merge onto the highway and the left turn signal to get off the highway. So I'm asking my trainer, why are these people all using the wrong turn signal? And then my trainer said, I don't know, maybe they're stupid. I don't know how anyone can get their driver's license if they can't even tell the difference between left and right, though. Like, that's just crazy. Like, how in the world did they get their license? Like, either they don't know the difference between left and right, or they don't know how to use the turn signal. But one of those is a thing that should disqualify you from driving. It's funny because a few days later I was watching news and they said that Minnesota had the country's best drivers, and I'm like, then why can't they tell the difference between left and right when they use the turn signals? I actually think North Carolina has the best drivers, because when I was driving a truck there, they were actually careful not to get too close behind me, unlike these idiots that drive in Pennsylvania. And if you use your turn signal, they actually get out of the way and let you switch lanes. But here in Pennsylvania, if you put your turn signal on, for some reason, they assume you put it on by accident and they just ignore it because they're stupid, I guess. Because apparently a turn signal doesn't mean anything if it comes from a truck. At least to Pennsylvanians it doesn't. Like, seriously, how in the world do these people get licenses if they don't even know what a turn signal means? Like, it's not like a turn signal looks different on a truck. It's still a flashing yellow light on one side of the vehicle. You still know that means that it's trying to turn. But as bad as Pennsylvania drivers are, they're nowhere near as bad as Massachusetts drivers. I was driving a truck in Massachusetts for the first time. Well, actually not the first time. I've been driving there quite often because they kept sending me there for some reason. Anyway, I was driving in Massachusetts and there was a cop car in the right lane. So of course, to avoid having to slow down, they got into the left lane. And the cop car was like on the shoulder pulling someone over. So I was in the left lane. There were a few cars in front of me. I always miss this light. There were cars in front of me and cars in front of me to the right as well. The cars that were on the right, for some reason, they just noticed that there was a cop car in the right lane. They didn't want to slow down, so they panicked and just merged over to the left without even checking to make sure it was safe yet. They almost hit the cars that were in front of me. I actually had to blow my horn to warn them because if I didn't warn them, they were going to keep going until they hit each other. And I'm like, man, these people are idiots. Not only do they not know how to use their mirrors to check if there's a car next to them, but they somehow don't understand the laws of physics, which state that you can't actually hit a car without, you know, expecting to crash into it. Like, what's wrong with these people? Like after I saw that, I thought, you know, I'm never driving my car in Massachusetts because I want to get to my destination in one piece. And if that's how these people drive, I don't see that happening. They might just merge into my car without even looking. Apparently they're oblivious to their surroundings. So I say, yeah, if I ever go to Massachusetts, I'm just gonna go there by Amtrak because I don't want to run the risk of someone actually just ramming into the side of my car when I'm on the highway. Hey, look at that, an intermodal train. You probably can't see it because for some reason cell phones are incapable of recording through glass. So for some reason cell phones think glass is opaque and they just can't record through it. On this road I have to floor it because it's a really steep hill. My foot is to the floor right now to avoid just stalling out. I guess that's something that's common in manual transmission vehicles because my truck was like that too when I was a truck driver. You had to floor it when going uphill. Actually, in a truck you have to floor it almost all the time. Maybe SpongeBob would have been a better truck driver than a car driver, considering how it's always in his mind to floor it. And that's actually something you have to do in a truck. I remember our trainers when we were in truck driving school. They kept going, floor it! You have to floor it! Floor it! But no one wanted to floor it because they were so used to driving cars where you're basically told not to floor it. You know, I think the reason Pennsylvanians are so bad at driving is because you don't really need to know how to drive to get a license. All you need to do is know how to parallel park and drive once around the block. They don't even test your ability to safely operate your vehicle on the highway. They don't test your ability to cross railroad crossings safely. All they test is your ability to drive in a residential area, in a square-shaped area, and stop at all the stop signs and not exceed 25. I don't ever... Only when I learned how to drive a truck did they actually test my abilities to operate in all other conditions, like for example on the highway. I had to learn how to drive a car on the highway through trial and error because, you know, I was never taught. Here's a section where high beams, Here's a section where high beams are important. Funny thing about high beams, for some reason Pennsylvanians don't understand that you're supposed to dim your high beams when passing someone in the other direction. They think you're supposed to just leave them on. And for some reason, I don't really know why, because in the manual it actually tells you to dim the headlights when you're passing someone. But these idiots just can't do that for some reason. Like, I dim my headlights when I'm passing someone, but some of them, they don't. And even if I dim my headlights, they still keep theirs. They still keep their high beams on for some reason. Well. We got these horribly orange lights that are apparently supposed to light our way, even though orange is one of the worst colors for doing that. Really, the only reason why these street lights are orange is because it's cheaper to make and maintain orange lights. Not because they're better or they help to light our way. They're just cheaper. And high beams actually do a really horrible job. Now, you'll notice that while I'm driving behind this truck, my high beams are not on. There's actually a good reason for that. And for that, you'll have to hear this backstory from when I was a truck driver driving at night. Okay, so I was in the left lane. I was putting my right turn signal on to get into the right lane. Some people like to flash their high beams to let you know that it's safe to merge without, you know, fear of hitting them. So this person flashed their high beams at me, and it burned my eyes because trucks have very reflective mirrors. So the light bounced off of the mirror and right into my eye. And you couldn't even look away from it either, because trucks have really big mirrors on them. So like, you could look all the way to the left and it still wouldn't matter. It would still be going into your eye. My eyes were burning, watering, and yeah, I had to pull over because I couldn't see. That's how bad it was. So yeah, don't have your high beams on when you're behind or next to a truck, please. Or that might happen to them as well, because that was a very horrible experience. One of the reasons why I absolutely refuse to drive at night. Like, after that, I called the company and I said, okay, look, I'm not driving at night anymore. It's just too dangerous. Like, it never occurred to me that I could just lose my ability to see because someone decided to shine their high beams into my mirror. So yeah, it's a really bad idea to have your high beams on when you're near a truck. It's bad for their eyesight. So please don't do that. You don't even really need your high beams if there's someone in front of you anyway, because you can just follow what they're doing most of the time. And I can actually see the pavement just fine right now. That's another thing. A lot of people put their high beams on even when it's not necessary. When they train you to drive a truck, they tell you that when the road curves to the left, you have to be on the right edge of the lane. And when the road curves to the right, you have to be on the left edge of the lane to avoid your trailer from going over the edge. I still can't quite get that out of my head. They basically drill that into your head, and you just can't unlearn that for some reason. Another thing I can't unlearn is not speeding. I can't even force myself to speed right now because it's just locked in my head not to right now. Like, they tell you if you're speeding, your vehicle is out of control, and you don't want that. Not only that, but speeding is really expensive if you're a truck driver. I think it's like a $1,500 fine. So that's definitely something you don't want to be doing. Oh yeah, that reminds me. You know Murphy's Law, which basically states everything you try to do to get to your destination faster will only slow you down. That's also true for truck drivers, because once I was driving in California, speed limit was 55 for trucks, 75 for cars. This truck passed me at 75 miles per hour, which was illegal. Then, like, not even a minute later, I saw him on the side of the road being pulled over by a cop. So yeah, he tried to speed to make up for lost time, and he ended up losing more time, having to get a ticket. Before I was fired from being a truck driver, they asked me, all the accidents you were in, do you notice a pattern developing? Then I thought about it and I realized they all happened at night before sunrise. US government is too poor to fix it because they're too busy getting in debt with China. It seems the only thing this government is good at doing is getting in debt with China. They're not good at doing anything else, hardly. Like, they have a special skill for getting in debt because, like, it takes a special amount of inability to handle money to be in $19 trillion of debt. Like, how do you even let that happen? Like, if I noticed my debt was getting that bad, like, I would be worrying and I would be doing stuff to try to stop it from getting worse. Like, can they even, like, I don't even think you can even hope to pay back that kind of debt. 19 trillion. I wonder what would happen if the United States would stop paying debt altogether. Like, the same thing as when a normal person stops paying debt, when it just goes to collections, and if you don't pay, you get sued. And if it's more than a certain amount of years old, it has to be dismissed. I think 5 years or 10 years, I don't know. Oh, here's my exit. Need the high beams on for this exit because it's poorly lit and hard to see. There are street lights, but they're never on for some reason. I guess they can't afford to light them. I guess they didn't pay their electric bill. That lane's going to end, so I need this lane as well. Oops. Well, this area of the road is very well lit. Someone's getting pulled over for something. Is he retying his load or something? I don't know. On the top of that bridge, it's a freight railroad. Every time I drive under this bridge, I always think to myself, I wonder what happened if the train derailed while it was crossing, and it would fall a very great height. Luckily, railroad bridges have guide rails that basically keep them on the bridge the whole time, even if it derails. These guide rails end, of course, at the end of the bridge, so at that point, they can derail in any direction they want. there, but they're probably not going to fall off the bridge. Hey, look at that, a bus stop. Speaking of which, they actually got rid of the bus stop near my job, so it's a really good thing that I have a car right now. They probably got rid of it because I was the only one using it, and I stopped using it eventually because I was tired of the buses not showing up. You see, the bus that stops at that stop was supposed to take me downtown so I could transfer to a bus that would take me home, but it would always arrive either too late or not, or it would never arrive at all. It would not arrive at all, and then I would be stuck there because it was the last bus there, and if it doesn't show up, then how am I supposed to get home? So I ended up taking Uber instead on several occasions. Eventually I gave up on the bus company and started taking Uber as my primary way to get home. Because it was just too bad. Like, I need to be able to get home in a timely manner. And if the buses aren't capable of arriving at their destinations on time, or if they're not capable of arriving at the bus stop at all, then you know I can't keep using them. Okay. I'm going to have to stop recording because they don't like